That sounds good. So let's begin with a prayer. Om Nasinam Darajinundobe, Dajijino Jubayi, Sangi Judangi Duba, Kuna Chazeta Jatashi, the major president to Nugu, Japan Bagadabadamba, Kuna Gomboji. Lumbadar Bazara Bedane, Simjatum Jala Gunta Pepe, Yitzum the Bazar. Sinzam the Bedashi Pepe, the worship Agila, Chasalu, Jampation Patent. Cherezima Gumbo Jampepe, saying in Portugal. Namgenium Baba Jogundo Zang, Ubetuji Pega no Jeda, no Buddha water. Chazalanum Daji Pegajo, Janjus and Bagala, Chazalo, and Jendo Jotojis. The Jumbaza Yon Kamala, Yadadunda Bunza Pepe, Minu Gizewunjero. The Jenda Jajagacha, then Jay, Judujawachi Jingajama, Gisongo to me. Trashela Mongera Chazalo, Sambashimbo, the Jungsemebo, Midona Dangibu. Pagibadan, Mimizan, Namdesela, Zekoloda, the Joladan. We wanted to take Zenze, Sasumnazo collected. She take you one gala Chazalo, Dajet in the Chawa, Sumbala, Gedanya, Warsawa, Kunjin, the Dembebe, some the Asian troop, Tashi Dele, Posum, so Parashu, Dajet in the Chawa. Gedanya, Warsawa, Kunjin, the Dembebe, some the Asian. Tashi Dele, Bosom, Zabarsho, Dajet in the Chawa, Sumbala, Gedanya, Warsawa, Kunjin. The Dembebe, some the Asian troop, Tashi Dele, Posum, so Parashu, Chumden de Paragumboji in Jabayana Chawa. Kangelo de me to the Yidam Daros of Beijing to Guchis. Nikito Lebanza Gondasa Bezara, Madame the Wages of Vetus of Gunapuch. In order to change the Zon to Trigeronio Monuno Legacy. Morimus to Granum, Chingichus Aratenum, then is such a jutor thing. Cassette Vecuchutajutan, Jungian and the Dalomus is in Prian. Marabzanadi, 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 Marabzanadi. Marabazanadi, 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 Kurgum the Deji. Ubedana share of Retinum, Lebas the Major Machugu, Gumbojam Payanas. Consider the word the bomb, Joseph Bordana, young Gumbojim. Came a pariantum or a show. Good evening. So we have a really great week. It was quite amazing. His Holiness came and it was a tremendous celebration of enlightenment. So he gave the 3 empowerments during this visit. Called Lama Yidam Dakini, and then the second empowerment on the second day was Dakini empowerment on Krodakali, Tramanamu, and the third empowerment was Vajakilaya. So I just want to brief you up. What does it really mean by Lama? What does it really mean by Yidam? What does it really mean by Dakini, generally? Normally we think Lama is someone who is wearing a red dress, or whatever dress he's wearing, that's a Lama. You know, someone who comes from Tibet in particularly, or Tibetan Lamas they're called. But actually the word Lama was first given to the Dalai Lamas by the Mongols. It's a title. But of course here I'm not saying you got a title of the Mongols. Genghis Khan didn't came here and giving you a title. But what it really means by Lama means adept, like a mother who has tremendous love and care for their children, like an ocean. The Lama is like an ocean that which carries the burden of all beings, that the concern for all beings, the ocean of, without living any sentient being, but who is taking the burden to lead beings out of this cyclic existence of samsara, taking the responsibility, that burden is what is basically known Lama. So obviously that resonates with bodhicitta mind, the meaning. It resonates with compassion, concern for others, to free them from the cyclic existence, not in a small scale, like a scale of ocean, like huge. The meaning of ocean is vast, deep, huge. Likewise, in our hearts, we are not going to just, it's a reminder that we need to discover depth of our mind, profundity of our mind, the vastness of our mind, not just for ourselves alone, in a self-centered ego's way, but we need to step out of this ego's ways in order for us to be free of every possible trap in existence. We can be trapped in so many ways, in so many ideas, in so many attachment, whether on a large scale or whether on a medium scale or whether on a very ethnic level scale, very personal level scale, that every day, day to day, all our thoughts, every emotion, we are trapped. And we struggle so hard to come out of that. And a lot of time we don't succeed. The reason is lack of openness, lack of compassion. So the word Lama means vastness, because our mind, deep enlightened mind, is vast, it's big, it can accommodate infinite. It's not just it can accommodate you or me or my family or like 10 people or 20 people, 100 people, but it can accommodate infinitely all sentient beings, limitless sentient beings. Because as vast as the sky, there's no limit to the sky, there's no limit to the space, there's no limit to beings. And as I've said in the past, that when we look through, from the medical science equipment today, when they look through the microscopic, those instruments, they see so many living organisms in the space. Limitless organism moving on our body, like from our eyes and ears and hands, just like crawling. You can see through those. So the whole space is filled with living organisms, living beings. All have the same notion of feeling, fear, hope, wanting to be free, always trying to find a better place. As long as there's a mind always trying to look for a better place, which is protected, which is secure, where they can find no harm and peace and happiness. That's basically the main quality of a mind. Mind always look for that, regardless whether one is rich, poor, high status, low status, smart or not smart, scholarly or very illiterate. The basic feeling of the mind always trying to look for a better place, a secure place. So that's how, as vast as the space is infinite, their being infinite. Buddha is not making up. It's proven by scientists, scientific proof today. The beings fill the sky. The whole space is filled with beings. And wherever being prevails, emotion prevails. And wherever emotion prevails, enlightened mind, what is known as Bodhisattva, who cares about other being. Because he or she cares about other being, because what gives that power to a bodhisattva, whether it's a male bodhisattva, whether it's a female bodhisattva, whatever form beings have, they see that ultimate reality, the primordial truth, the ultimate reality, is an awakened mind, which is free of all ism, which is free of all ego, which is free of all traps, whether it's emotion, thoughts, whatever it is. It's so vast, it's so infinite, it's so awakening. Because of seeing that, it's the natural response is compassion. Whoever doesn't see that, they reaches out to those beings. Whatever those beings are, harmful beings or friendly beings, it doesn't matter for them. Bodhisattva never choose a friendly being to work with. Bodhisattva is open to all beings, whether it's friendly being or not friendly being. Whether it's rich, poor, high, low, someone who is going to harm them also, there's no harmful reaction towards the being. That's the quality of the Bodhisattva. What makes that Bodhisattva to have that quality? Seeing the truth of awakening mind, which is free of deception of ego and self-existence, the self-notion of self-centeredness, which blocks our mind. Every thoughts and emotion we have get trapped in self. Once that self is liberated, it's a vast and infinite and tremendous possibility. So that is what is known as Lama, the true Lama, inner Lama. Outer Lama, you know, just wearing a dress, relative Lama. But actually your inner Lama means your inner possibility, limitless possibility of awakened mind quality. That is the Lama. Then the next stage is called Yiddham. Yid means mind in Tibetan. Dham means like sealed mind or protected mind. And Yiddham, the protected mind, cannot happen with a dualistic mindset, because dualistic mindset is basically a projection of the ego's mind. In order to truly see the Yiddham, you need to first see the Lama. Without seeing the Lama, you cannot see the Yiddham. So in order to see the Lama, you need to experience the shunyata, the nature of a transcendent quality of emptiness. Means devoid of self. That's what emptiness means. It doesn't mean devoid of nothingness. Devoid of nothingness is nihilistic view, which is a false view. But devoid of self, that, once the devoid of self, that is shunyata. The word Sanskrit means shunyata, means in English we can say emptiness. It's the closest thing we can get to understanding of no self. But again, no self, when we say no self, we instantly fall down to a category of mind where it means nothingness. Like you kind of think like a space. All you can think is a space. I think that's again fallen into an extreme, in fact. If you get cling to emptiness, it is not emptiness, because emptiness, there's nothing to cling to. There's nothing to project to. And nothing to project to, again we fall into the next extreme. Now it's mean really nothing, nothing, further nothing. You see, there's so many how the mind, dualistic mind, can keep a track. That's why in the sitting practice of meditation, you're told not to entertain, regardless of whatever the experience. Don't look for result. Just sit and be there and in natural state. You're learning step by step the natural way, you know. And then as you sit and sit and sit, gradually your heart and minds begin to open up. To the point, at some point, you know, it makes no difference that even a harmful attack comes to you, you don't have the fear. Or there's the music from the universe singing and praising about you, you're not seduced by that. Neither you have hope or seduced to that, or you have the fear to that. You transcend all kinds of self-centeredness, whether it's hope or whether it's fear, the mind itself is fully awakened. And that takes time, because right now we are so used to hope and fear. Every thought we have instantly goes into those two camps, either the camp of hope or the camp of fear. We can't think beyond that. To have like an infinite possibility, we couldn't even imagine sometimes. Is it really possible I can do things without having some identity? Because our ordinary mind always needs an identity. Or if I need, in order to do that, I need to think that I'm going to do, and the object I'm going to do, whatever the activity is. But we can't think. Things can happen in a glance, just with the awakened mind. Is it possible? Yes, it is possible, because the very trap of self is not there, it is removed. It's just like it's like an energy. Right now we have a confused energy, dualistic energy, neurotic energy, ego's energy, which kind of function our day-to-day life, and it creates all kinds of karma. And the moment that karma is created, we have to live through that. And even in essence, karma has no substantial ground or reality, but we go through our life experience like a dream, like a illusion, like a dream. Let's put a dream is much easier example, like a dream. We go through dreams. When we wake up, all for nothing. It's all those fear and nightmares and everything you go through. Then you went, oh, good, at least it was a dream. Oh, why did I have to go through? Do you have any good reason to tell me why you have to go through? We don't have any good reason to tell. It was just a dream. And that is the consequence of dualistic trap, dualistic projection. And the suffering which comes along. It's not that we saw a dream and we were not suffering. We just suffered so much that night while we were having a bad dream. In fact, we are so happy in the morning when we get up, oh, that was just a dream, it went away. That's called confused energy, projection of neurosis. Now once that self, which is the source of all our neurosis, which is the source of inviting all our suffering and confusion, once that is removed, then it's enlightened energy. So in order to bring enlightened energy, it's not that in a way we don't have to buy it from anybody else. You have a heart of enlightened seed in your heart. You're not buying it from the Lama, you're not buying it from somebody else. You have inherent quality. Our inherent quality is basic goodness. However, that basic goodness, you see, even when you see in your dream, for example, when you wake up, you see, oh, that is totally, it was just a dream. And like it's nothing has happened. That shows the reality, there's a basic goodness. There are many examples. In the Uttara Tantra, there is a teaching called Uttara Tantra. In the Uttara Tantra, explain about the basic goodness, how it exists in all of us. Many examples. One example is like the beggar who is sleeping underneath a pot of gold. His or her problem will all be solved if he or she, the beggar, knew there was a pot of gold where they were sleeping. All they have to dug it, and then all these problems will be solved. But one doesn't know. So that's one example. The other example is in a emperor in a womb of a poor woman. If she knew that is, of course, it will take a time, but it's like one example is the emperor in a womb of a poor woman. So there are many examples, like in Uttara Tantra, there are, I think, 9 examples how basic goodness exists in all of us. And we all have that quality, regardless, as long as there's a sentient we have that quality. And then one of the other thing is the basic goodness is part of our reality is all of us, first thing in the morning when we get up, either we do some, as a practitioner, we do refuge and bodhicitta, or we may do Tonglen practice, sending our positive energy to all being, taking, we may not able to do with all being, but at least you can start thinking of your mother, your kind mother and your kind father. Take this, relieve some of the suffering, share, bring that towards yourself and share your positive qualities to them through taking and sending. So we do that. Then if it's an ordinary person who is not into Dharma, let's say those who are not doing any particular spiritual practice, even when they get up first thing in the morning, they wish, may I have a good day? I would love to have a pleasant day. I would love to, go and today, where should I go and eat? Where should I have a coffee? Maybe Starbucks. On a hot Sunday, maybe some Haagen-Dazs ice cream, or take a walk during when there's a shade in the wash park, something like that. Nobody thinks, today, who am I going to kill? Who am I going to kick? Who am I going to beat? And take a delight and interest. No one does that. Even someone who is really a bad person, he or she also wants to have some peaceful time that day. So you see, this shows a fundamental basic goodness exists in all of us, that we want peace, we want loving, caring, in creating a peaceful world, creating a world free of neurosis. Like the message is constantly coming to us. We feel good when we forgive. But we feel bad when we don't forgive, regardless. You see, when you go through anger, nobody feels good about it. Even you sort of appears to triumph through your anger, but there's a level of guilt, or there's a level of bad feeling. This is not good. I'm not happy. It can never make you happy. It's a neurosis. This, in fact, source of all our suffering in our life is neurosis. There's no other cause. There's no third party trying to give us suffering. Nobody else trying to create that to us. It's our own confused mind which is basically bringing that suffering into our life. So therefore, when we see those faults, I think it's important that we need to reflect what causes. Truly see the point. That once you see what causes suffering, then you will begin to take an interest of just going with the flow without ever thinking, no sense of awareness. So those awareness is very important, because without a basic awareness of all basic awareness, we may never really reach a very deeper sense of who we are. You see, when you connect with the relative conventional world situation, trying to connect your awareness with the conventional reality, that's the first step. That's not the complete step, it's the first step. Because your mind is so deep. When you look at this body, you have this body, we have the two hands, body, 2 feet, head, nose, everything. So apparent, so clear, obvious. But what makes this body behind is your channels. Inside is all your nervous system. In your brain, your nervous system, which connects, which makes this twinkling of your eyes or whatever through that nervous system. First comes the inner nervous system, first comes the mind, then comes the nervous system, then comes your physical part afterwards. Move. When you say move, first comes your mind, then your nervous, all your neurons, nervous system, then you move, third part. And we are just day-to-day working on the external level. So now what is the inner level? and what is the very deeper level. We don't have any clue. We don't even thought about it. We don't look into that. A fundamental ground where our energies comes about. So when we talk about talking about the Lama, I make a little explanation. Then talking about this energy is the yidam. Yid tam. Now, as I said, what makes the seal mind doesn't mean there's something trapped, but awareness, fundamental pure awareness, which consists of on a deeper, higher tantric level, is called mind, the essence, channels, and wind. Essence, channel, wind. Now that's inner part. The movement of the wind. In order for the movement of the wind, it needs a highway, which is all our nervous system. Our nervous system is like the highway. And all the cars and people walking or traveling on that is the wind. And what the main essence, is the wind has to have someone to go. The main person going is the essence. So there's a saying that wind is like a horse and your mind is like the rider. So these kind of things are happening when you look deeper part. I'm explaining this part. This is, this is important to understand our whole part of our system. Then we can understand what is Lama Yidam Dakini means. You see, now on a scientific level, if your neurons, your nervous systems breaks down, then all your other system, external system, begin to die. So there the treatment has to go on the inner nervous system. And if the nervous system breaks down, we can get epilepsy, we can get strokes, then the possibility to function is not there. In other words, we only think, when we think of possibility, we only think the possibility, can I have a cup of coffee? Can I lift my cup? Can I walk with my feet straight? That's the only thing we think about. But actual manifestation, which is known as Nirmanakaya, Nirmanakaya comes with is the expression of compassion. You're not supposed to be an embodiment of neurosis. You're supposed to be an embodiment of wisdom and compassion. So what is speak about being an embodiment of wisdom and compassion? Your body is actually, one can say, like a temple. Temple means like something pure. And in this regard, it's called deity, where you function. Everything you do, it benefits others and yourself at the same time. That's what your fundamental build-up, basic goodness, is the whole part, body, speech, and mind. It's not just one body, but body, speech, and mind in totality, completion. And I think perhaps right now we are not seeing that. The only thing we see the use of this body is, eat something, walk something, and do some menial things. Rest you can't think, how can this be an infinite possibility through my expression of the body, or through my expression of the speech, and through my expression of the mind? We don't go deeper, we don't look at that way. So in the teaching, it explained that when you receive, for example, there are 4 empowerments. The empowerment, vast empowerment, we got that. Then there is this secret empowerment. Then there is wisdom empowerment. And then there's called Swabhavika Kaya empowerment, means the fourth empowerment, which is purifies the notion of totality of duality. For example, right now we think my body is separate, my speech is separate, and my mind is separate. We have duality into those three as separation. And then you think the same thing in a dream. You think my body is separate, my speech is separate, and my mind is separate. Really, is there a separate when you wake up? If your body is separate, it should be somewhere left in your dream. This is how our ordinary mind, so trapped in duality, has been so used to thinking this way. Body separate, speech separate, mind. That is an obscuration. Ignorant is called obscuration, defilements. So the fourth empowerment purifies this defilement, purifies this obscuration of the notion of the body, speech, and mind is separate. That is what, that obscuration is purified. So now when you do a deity practice, actually, deity, you are deity. Your basic goodness, primordial mind, is the deity. As I said, you're not supposed to be an embodiment of neurosis. You are embodiment of wisdom and compassion, not embodiment of neurosis. So therefore, sometimes I think, when we do prostration versus going to gym, of course, there are many ways. Some people go to gym for pure physical purpose, but then a lot of guys and women sometimes go, how they can show their muscles and how they tone up. You build up so much vanity. I think truly become a manifestation of neurosis. When you do prostration, you purify your body, speech, and mind neurosis. At the same time, your body gets perfectly fit. So there's a double benefit. With the wrong attitude of thinking vanity, you increase more neurosis. You increase more jealousy. And at the end, you become more insecure. Neurosis makes you insecure. Neurosis can never make you secure. What makes you secure is wisdom and compassion. But as far as the self, ego, and neurosis can never make you secure. The more you go into that, the more further you get deeper into trap. But that's the only world people know. They don't know if there's any other way to think. They have no idea what compassion means, what's wisdom means, who am I? So therefore, what we got this time was very special. We got the full empowerment, the purification of all our inner, subtle, obscure, our channels which are obscure. Purification of that makes you full, bringing you out of, it's like you're a trap. Like, you're like a trapped genie in a... So your genie of wisdom is out, sort of. And then the speech empowerment. Then this, and then the secret empowerment, and then the Swabhavika empowerment. These give you really awakening who you are. It's basically who you are fundamentally, the basic goodness. That is called deity, without any dualistic obscuration. And through that particular practice, now if you can do the practice, then you can really see that. If you don't do the practice, it is a blessing. It has removed a lot of obstacles into your life, and it has given you possibility. Gradually, things will change. But in order to really make a change, you need to make a commitment to yourself. Dharma is nothing more than making a commitment to yourself. It's the only thing which you make commitment to yourself. There's everything else. You're not making commitment to yourself. All neurosis is deceiving yourself, in fact. You are deceiving yourself by your neurosis. Nobody else is doing that. You are doing it on yourself. Therefore, we need to bring the wisdom and compassion alive into our practice so that at least we can be genuine and compassionate to ourselves. One has to find compassion to oneself. In fact, you need to, if you don't really reflect and just follow up your ego's mind, you're not really being compassionate. And perhaps at this point, we've been living in this mindset for so long, and that's the only world we know. Anything else we think is foreign. Compassion is foreign, wisdom is foreign, everything's... Anger, yes, I know, I'm angry with you. Jealousy, yes, I know, yes, I'm jealous of you. Look at that. It's a pathetic state we are. It's truly, that's called pathetic. There's nothing more pathetic than that. We need to wake up, and we can wake up. And we need to find discipline in order to wake up from that. Every day we have to sit. Every day we should bring compassion. Every day we should, reflect more deeper to our mind. Then a time will come where you will triumph above that. Otherwise, never a time will come that you will rise up from that. Therefore, practice of meditation become extremely important. And all this blessing. So this time, tremendous blessing you got. So let me speak a little bit more about the deity. Now it's called in the deeper, you see, in Buddhism there are three levels: Hinayana level, Mahayana level, Vajrayana level. Hinayana level basically just speak on the external level, disciplines, ethical. Those are Hinayana teachings, including monastic teaching and layman's vows, which is extremely important. We need a foundation of some discipline. If you have to put the seed, you need a ground. Without a fertile ground, you cannot put a seed to things to grow. And that fertile ground is the discipline. You need to have some kind of responsibility. You need to make a commitment in yourself. Okay, from now on, I will, you take some positive act as a commitment in your mind, and I will do that. And once you do you take one commitment, then it will close the door for many negatives to enter. And in fact, when the negatives will enter due to our habits from so long, it will come. But when that comes, you are aware of that negative coming, and you will stop the door from that happening, coming into your life, and you will act responsibly. You will act with awareness. You will have your mindfulness. And then on the spot, you can overcome that negativity from happening into your life. And as a result, the suffering of so many kinds are closed. Door is, you don't let it in, so the suffering will also not happen to you. That's the general, basically, discipline. Pratimoksha vow, Sanskrit word, is a discipline of some positive you need to keep in your life. Either you can take from a teacher, okay, I will, from today, I will take a vow of not harming beings, or I will not kill, or I will, not harm, whatever, any one possibility, positive quality you need to keep in your mind. Make a commitment, like we say, New Year resolution. This is the real resolution, is to make a resolution, I will not engage in a particular neurosis. Just that. That will then that will bring awareness to so many other neuroses. You will be more aware of other neuroses. If you don't have that, you will not be aware of when other neurosis happens in your life. You're just open to it. Right now, we are so much open to it, all this thing happening into our life. We don't even realize. Sometimes I hear in the news, if somebody has been murdered, of course it's not good, not at all. Whoever's murderer is not, there's nothing to rejoice, there's nothing to praise about a murderer. But at the same time, sometimes people get so confused. If someone is put on hanged for that crime, then people say, oh, now we got the justice. They can sleep better. The one who died can sleep better. That is so confused. How can, you sleep better by hanging someone? Regardless whatever is done. You cannot. It has its own. In fact, there's more power in forgiveness. Whatever happened has happened now. Okay, leave that and now forgive. There's more power in forgiveness and letting it go than chasing after that and holding a grudge and get a revenge. That in turn, the cycle will be endless. What will happen, the cycle will be endless. Then you keep repeating again and again and again. That's lack of knowing Dharma, lack of knowing how mind works, lack of knowing how karma functions. Therefore, there is endless suffering due to that. So now, deity, in order to explain about deity, is very complex. Of course, it's not complex in a sense, it's your nature. But at this point, we have slightly slide down a little too far. So to go back and explain will take a little much longer. And I will definitely give the teaching on explanation on what. There's a book called, in the time being, you can read this book called Completion and Generating Stages. There's a book called, in English, is translated. I think it's by Jamgon Kongtrul. So please read that book. It's very beneficial for you to understand what is the deity means, in a sense. So when we do practice, like Thursday we all do practice of meditation leads you to that, to seeing your basic goodness, your deity nature. Because Dharma cannot be separated from basic goodness. Every Dharma, whether it's from the beginning or whether it's a very advanced, they're all connected. Whether the wire is here, the light is there, they're all connected. It's not that there is no connection. Even you may not see the light here, whether you put the switch on, but the light is there. When you put the switch on, the energy goes through there. So the energy of the Dharma goes all the way when any kind of practice of Dharma you do. And I try to usually explain the Dharma in a comprehensive way, so that you will, if you have the patience, you will get there. Let me put it that way. So therefore we need perseverance, we need diligence, and we need to sit and sit and sit, and something will happen. It's bound to happen. So now, I would, I was talking to His Holiness. I said, how was your trip to America? What did you felt with American people? And how was your feeling in some of the other countries? He was telling me that, different countries, you can't generalize generally, not every being is different. But he said in America, one thing I like is people really, they take an interest to looking into themselves, asking questions, and reflecting, introspecting, and that he said he's very happy. Because you cannot succeed in the path of Dharma if you don't do that. You need to ask questions, you need to introspect. In fact, there has been so much, you're told to do that from ancient time, from Nagarjuna's time, particularly the great Nagarjuna's time, the one who taught the middle path. What is the right view? How do you know what is the right view? How do you know the Buddhist view is right view? You need to ask question. In order to ask this question, there are three philosophy, three views, or three philosophy, whatever you would call it, to analyze based on those three views. One is nihilistic view, one is eternalistic view, and what is middle path, known in Buddhism, middle path. So you really check through it. And then you really find in your mind absolute certainty which is really the truth. Therefore, Buddha himself said that don't take my teachings because I said so. Check it, analyze it. Like someone who buys a gold will check and analyze. And when he or she is certain it is pure gold, then they would buy. Same thing with my teaching. Check my teaching, analyze my teaching. Don't take it because I said so. Buddha gave that. He is called the lion's roar, the fearless voice. And I think that's such a great blessing, because so many other traditions say, you don't believe in me, you go to hell. Basically stop your whole mind, shut your whole mind, everything from the beginning. And if you don't believe in me, you will be basically burning in hell. I think that is problem. We should ask questions. In order to understand your mind deep, you have to have critical analysis. You need to, be every angles. You have to ask questions, introspect. What is bodhicitta? What is the difference between compassion and bodhicitta? What is Buddhism talking about selfless, that emptiness? What is Buddhism talking about interdependent? All these things, whether it makes logical, whether it makes sense, otherwise we are just following a blind faith. You can't follow Dharma with a blind faith. Of course, some very subtle things sometimes takes time. Like our mind, through practice of meditation, it takes a long time for us to calm down. And then you can see things much clearly. Same thing, you need to check, introspect, and meditate. 3 knowledge. First knowledge is through hearing. Second knowledge is through introspecting. Third knowledge by experience. Without those 3, it's not complete. So first you have to hear. And once you know what the Dharma is taught, whether it's Hinayana teaching, Mahayana teaching, Tantric Vajrayana teaching, you need to hear. Then you need to introspect their meaning. Then you have to sit and actually experience that. Then it's complete. Then you know a fully clear confidence is gained into yourself. Otherwise, it's just not very profound. So we need to go through that. It's a healthy mind also. It keeps you, let you really see yourself, because you are finally the holder of the Dharma. It means your mind is finally the most enlightened nature. In order to know that, you need to clear all obstacle on the way. Because now what happens? If you don't clear the obstacle, you will always be trapped in the dualism. So in order to come out of that, you're the only person who can do that. You're the only person who made this confusion, and now you're the only person who can unravel that. And as Nagarjuna explained, neurosis can never stand. It has no strength to stand in front of the truth, because it has no reality. Moment you see neurosis, it will fall apart, because it's just like a cloud, it's temporarily. While the wisdom can always stand, it's like unchanging. And we know that through the teaching, one of the examples I want you to focus is interdependent. When you see interdependence, it is devoid of inherent existence. Devoid of inherent existence, therefore, all neurosis, cannot, it's like a hollow. Moment you see that, it falls apart. So I think the teaching of interdependence is very beneficial to understand a very deeper level of our mind. But then finally, even then, when you do meditation, you should not be doing interdependent. There are different methods. Only when you reflect and introspect, you should go through the interdependent. Once you sit, you just sit. Then you don't think, oh, is this empty? Or this is, what, this? Then, your mind is just distracted. That's not the way. There's a way to do meditation, there's a way to do introspection. You don't bring introspection idea when you do sitting. And when you don't do sitting, when you're supposed to introspect. So you're trying to introspect just with, just remaining in meditation, that'll be difficult at this point. So when you introspect, do it the introspection way. When you sit, you sit. So therefore, first you hear the knowledge of hearing, the knowledge of reflection, and thirdly is the knowledge of comes through meditation practice. Then it's very clear. It will get very clear. Okay. So now, I will explain the generating what really means Diti and Dakini next time when I come. This time it's too short period. It will take. It's a whole teaching in itself, but it is who you are. All I can say right now, it is who you are. You're not who you think you are, but you're a deity. You are an embodiment of wisdom and compassion, not a lump of neurosis. You're not a tumor. You are enlightened being, in essence. So let's do sitting practice now. Okay? Sit in the comfortable posture, and your body relax, mind completely relax, and the breathing meditation. If you have any questions, we can have some question and answer period.
Rinpoche, a few people have asked me the practices that we received empowerments for. How can they start doing those practices?
As His Holiness mentioned, the first important thing is people should do the Ngundro practice, because Ngundro is a very important practice, preliminary practice they are called. They are not particularly preliminary practice in terms of general in the Dharma practice. There are advanced practice as far as the Hinayana practice and Mahayana practice is concerned. In Mahayana practice, there's Sutra Mahayana and then Tantra Mahayana or Vajrayana. It's called the diamond vehicle or the Mantrayana, Tantrayana. But in terms of the Hinayana practice and Sutra practice, these are advanced practice. But in terms of the Tantra itself, then it goes deeper and deeper to the highest level is the Mahamudra and Dzogchen teaching. So on that level, these are preliminary practice. However, in each one of these practice, as I said, like the Dharma is a completion. You can never leave any part of Dharma, regardless of whatever practice of Dharma you do, it's part of the whole thing. Is never like a slice. It's a part of the whole thing. Such as when you click a switch, the whole, you may not see the light there, but it's connected, the energy. So you have to look at it that way. Because Dharma is always have to relate to the ultimate reality and the shunyata. So without the practice, without involving shunyata, then you're missing the most important part. That's why sitting practice is working to understand the openness of our mind. And the openness means once the mind is open, it supposedly is letting go all those things, whatever arises in mind, instead of being holding on to or being clinging on to or being trapped into. So that's why in sitting practice of meditation, whatever thoughts you have, whether it's positive thoughts or whether it's negative thoughts, you are supposed to just simply see that and not engage to that, meaning not necessarily suppressing, but being open and letting it go. In that way, you encompasses the whole part of the Dharma practice in the essence of the nature of the mind. You see, so it's not particularly, when you do shamatha practice or meditation, is not on particularly emphasizing on emptiness, because shamatha is calm abiding. The mind do abide in a state which is calm, peaceful, and what that does is like all your thoughts, which is like a whirlwind, which is like a tornado. You know, if a very strong glass, if you have a flame with a glass on the top, then no matter how much storm and wind is there, it will not stop the flame. The flame will keep burning on without any hindrance and obstacle. Same thing, when you do a sitting practice meditation, it makes your mind calm, peaceful, and then as a result, your mind will be more clear and it'll be out of any obstacle, no matter what you do. So for example, if for a student, those who do a lot of sitting practice, their minds get very sharp, very intuitive, very clear. For a meditator, practitioner, of course, in order to see the depth of the mind, you need that. While when the mind is so much disturbed, going here, going there, then it's not a peaceful environment for you to see things. So shamatha meditation makes your mind clear, peaceful, calm abiding, and intuitive. And finally, it will lead you to see the reality, ultimate reality, which is shunyata. So therefore, shamatha meditation is so important. So it is not immediately talking about shunyata, but shamatha meditation is a must in order to realize ultimate nature. So what was the question? Yeah, what they have to do in order to do this practice, right? What we receive empowerment. We have to do the Ngondro practice. Now, Ngondro practice, in Ngondro practice, it's basically, we have to look at it this way. When you do Ngondro practice, you're not simply going to stop at a shamatha level. Let's put it that way. Shamatha meditation is helpful if someone who is or let's say someone who is doing Dharma practice, shamatha meditation is encompassing everything. But someone who is not doing Dharma practice, let's say as just some ordinary school. Today, a certain school, they teach meditation. I think I heard something like that. Or let's say a group of, some Google people doing meditation. I heard that's happening too. They teach meditation. So Google people doing meditation, or Intel people doing meditation, Oracle people doing meditation, whatever those companies doing, they're teaching their employees how to have mind calm, so they won't break things and have problems. That's the whole purpose. And of course, their mind can be healthier and happier. Of course, I don't know how much deep compassion is involved. I want all of them to do meditation so they can be happier, or I want all of them to do meditation so they will do their job well, so I can make more money. That intention, I don't know what's the company's intention. But anyway, that is a shamatha meditation, what they're trying to teach them, to have their mind more calmer, more balanced, so as a result, it can be more friendly environment and productive environment. So that's shamatha meditation. But here, when we do Ngondro, in the first part of the Ngondro is for outer reflection. Then it's a very different view when we do Ngondro practice. We don't do Ngondro practice so I can make the environmental better and I can be a much cooler person and not the whole approach is different. When you do Ngondro practice, the first part of the Ngondro is the four outer Ngondros, which says precious human rebirth. Impermanence, second. Third is cause and effect. Fourth is the nature of samsara, being suffering. That is the first Ngondro. Now your whole outlook is very different. Your outlook is far deeper. Is far deeper in its approach and understanding. The cyclic existence itself is a problem. While in the shamatha meditation, cyclic existence is not particularly a problem. In a sense, when the companies do meditation, they want their employees to have a calm mind, a friendly environment. That's it. But it doesn't talk about what's the nature of cyclic existence to begin with. It doesn't talk about the precious human rebirth to begin with. It doesn't talk about impermanence. It's not talking about that. Here we begin to see the reality when we do Ngondro practice. This is a very precious human rebirth. Why? The possibility that you can truly build up wisdom and compassion and you can get out of this cycle, ceaseless cycle of samsara, which bring The problem with the ceaseless cycle is a ceaseless suffering, which we are never able to get out. It's like there's no exit. You keep driving around Denver without knowing the road, without any exit, it makes you crazy. That's how we're all a little crazy right now. We are all a bit little crazy. Everyone in samsara is crazy because we never found the exit. We always keep circling around and around and around. So now you begin to ask the question, definitely this cycle is a problem. So first step before precious human rebirth, it is said our life is very precious. But only a human body endowed with our mind can have the possibility to get out of this cycle existence. It's not possible with the bug's life. Though the same bug has the same mind as we do. They have the same fear, they have the same hope, they have the same aspiration for happiness, to get out of suffering. Even you see a spider, you go there, make a duck, they're afraid, they're protecting their life. And they try to run away to find a secure place. They're looking for a secure, happier, better place. They don't want the harms to come on their life, just as we are. There's no difference as far as consciousness is concerned, mind aspiration is concerned. But having that kind of a body, it doesn't make the possibility for the intelligence to function as deep as a human body does. So human can analyze, and at the same time, a human can do bigger disaster than a spider. A spider is not going to create Third World War, but a human can make a Third World War. So we have that possibility to do great good and do great bad. That's true. The spider doesn't have a possibility to do great bad or to do bad, Of course, it's not a very good place to begin with as a spider, but it's, as far as something terrible is not going to happen, a disaster to the world. So human body is precious. However it is precious, the most we can live is 100 years, probably. Very few people live 100 years. Most of us probably is 70, 80, who knows? No one knows certainty how you will die. You could be dead tomorrow morning. You could be dead now. You breathe out and you no breathe in, you'll be dead, So many ways how we don't know how we're going to die, but we all know we're going to die. For sure we know we're going to die. That's one thing that we all know for certain is we will be dead. And IRS will come after you also. We know that. In fact, there's this, one of my students named Blossom, when she died, so Tara was looking up. After 2 years, Iris was sending the bill for her death. So anyway, just joking. But we know for sure we're going to die, right? So therefore, life is precious, but it's impermanence. Anything can happen due to some sickness, due to some circumstance, we're all going to die. So therefore, life is precious. We shouldn't waste even for a day. If you read the words of my perfect teacher, in that book, explain really in detail how to reflect on precious human rebirth, how to reflect impermanence, the external gross impermanence, subtle impermanence. Gross impermanence is like changing of the seasons. That's how our life changes. We may not see the wrinkle right away in the spring, but definitely we will see a little bit subtle wrinkle during winter time or something. It's just like changes nature. So impermanence on a grosser level, on a subtle level, everything is impermanence to begin with. When you look at the nature of impermanence, it's not that things were permanent, then suddenly become impermanence. They are begin to impermanence. A momentariness itself is impermanence. That's why it makes momentariness. From 1 second to 60 seconds happens because the first 1 second itself is impermanence. Therefore, the second is impermanent. Therefore, the whole 60 seconds is impermanence because it is impermanence to begin with. And sometimes, I was talking about impermanence today. Somebody asked me, what happens if there's no impermanence? I said, if there's no impermanence, there's no comedy. How? If everything is permanent, then let's say you are angry. You are angry forever and ever and ever. The fact there's impermanence, you comes out of it and there's a comedy. True, it is true. Every experience, your emotion, you experience because there is a change. If there is no change, you will be stuck with a particular emotion forever and ever. And first of all, it will never even happen that way. The world will be very different. The whole law of physics has to be a totally different thing. That's not possible. So therefore, impermanence is a change happening. So therefore, we don't want to waste our life. Because our life is so precious, we should not engage in negative thing because human body is a very precious gift. Sometimes we may think we are just human, parents' union may produce a person. Yes, it is true, but there's so much more involved. And if supposing due to some very good karma, some positive deed of a tremendous positive deeds, in fact, in your past, you are able to get a human body. Human being is so little. Look at in this room, we are like whatever the human being we are. But in this room, there are small bacteria, a small organism. There are billions in this room who don't have a human body. It's truly, they have the same mind. And we also know this body, what we call ourselves human being, we're not going to last. Someday either you'll be buried and you'll be, your body will be rotten and your body will be either burnt or ash to ash, whatever. You're not going to be human. It's temporarily you are human. We think that I'm human forever, and even if after I die, I will be as a human. Even when you go to heaven, you think you will be as a human. That's all projection. You will be what your deeds, whatever the deeds you do right now, that's what you will become in the future. In fact, there's a saying, traditional saying, what you are now is what you've been in the past. What you will become in the future is what you're doing now. You don't need prophecy. What you are now is what you will become in the future. What you are now is what you've been in the past. So obviously, being a human, this precious body, we have done something good in the past. Even there's a lot of problem with the human body, but it's one of the best body that one can get. And therefore, it's very precious, especially to be born. Among humans also, there are many different kinds of karma. Supposing you're born in a country where they have no freedom of religion, freedom of speech, no human rights, there's a lot of problem. We're in America where there's human rights, where there's freedom of thoughts, freedom of religion. And now, therefore, you can utilize this freedom for the highest purpose, is to get enlightenment. Or at least you don't create bad karma, okay? You can do by preventing yourself to be born as a spider in next life. Or something really. Because what you're doing now is what you will be in the future. You can't expect something, amazing things to happen if you're doing a lot of terrible things. Would you believe that Hitler is in heaven just because he's human also? He was a human in the past. Would you believe Stalin could be in the heaven after killing 20 million people? And Mao also, how many millions were dead? And then Hitler, how many millions, how many millions died and how many millions got unbelievable suffering. Would you think they could be in a place where with a human body? Not, I don't think so. A tremendous, the consequence, cause and effect. Whatever you do, that effect will come on you. There's a saying in the teaching of the karma. The ripening of the consequence of one's deed will not ripen on the ocean, will not ripen in the sky, will not ripen in the rocks, will not ripen in the mountains, but it will ripen on the body which your consciousness uphold. So whatever your consciousness right now holding this particular body, or whatever beings hold that particular body, they go through that consequence, whether it's good or bad, positive experience or negative experience. We go through that. It will not ripen. Your karma will not ripen in the mountain, Buddha said. Your karma will not ripen in the water. Your karma will not ripen on the rocks or mountain or ocean or river or trees. It will ripen on the body which your consciousness hold. So pain or pleasure, whatever, it will ripen on that body. Therefore, we have to respect the law of cause and effect. No one can stop. Once the cause and effect is created, even Buddhists cannot stop. Whether it's good, it will ripen. Whether it's bad, it will ripen. No one can stop that. The primary cause and secondary condition. For the karma to ripen, it needs primary cause and secondary condition. Like when you put a seed of a flower, there's a primary cause to that particular flower. And secondary cause is water and gardening and the right environment and the climate and everything. Then once all of these primary cause and secondary comes, then it will ripen. Good or bad, no one can stop. That's the nature of law of physics. So therefore, we have to be careful what kind of deeds we do, whether it's mental deed, speech deed, or physical deed. We have to be very careful, because once you do a negative deed, it's going to ripen, it's going to come back to you sooner or later. So therefore, knowing that our life is very limited, and then therefore, we should not waste when we have this opportunity of freedom. Every day, even day to day, let's look at our, when you generate, let's say, Tonglen practice, exchanging, a compassionate practice, and then you do a sitting practice meditation. You feel good the whole day. Your mind is more positive. You are more open, you feel more calmer, and you inspire you, whatever you do, in the right channel, positive channel. And as a result, you find more happiness and stability and more awakening in your life. So therefore, for Outer Mundo, precious human rebirth, reflect on impermanence, reflect on cause and effect, which we just talked about, and then basically, no matter where you are born in samsara, there's suffering. No matter how many, you could imagine there's how many rich people, famous people. We have artists, famous singer. People sometimes suicide, they kill themselves. Or they're in depression, or they're in some sense of loss, or some kind of that is the nature, no matter where you're born in samsara, as long as mind is not free of fundamental ignorant, not knowing the reality of seeing one's own awakened mind, or enlightened mind, or wisdom mind, there will always be a problem, no matter. There is always a problem with the self, the ego mind. There's no matter. You can say the person is very good, but there's always a flaw in that mind. Having a notion of self, having a notion of ego. it is bound to do something wrong at some point. That's just simply is the nature, being trapped in this self. So, therefore, no matter where one is born in samsara, out of the three suffering, suffering of change, and the conditional suffering, it pervades in the whole three-world system. The sense of dissatisfaction, the sense of insecurity, no matter where one, as long as there's a self, there's an insecurity, let's put it that way. That's what the self brings, a sense of insecurity. It will be there. You would think the highest office in this country is the President of the United States. And someone who gains that position, you may think that he has gone beyond all insecurity because he rules 1.2 million armies he has. All the country, he can say whatever he wants. The Air Force is there, the Marines are there to protect him, the most secure place, so to speak. But that doesn't happen that way. There's a lot of problem. When Ronald Reagan left the presidency and he was going finally leaving the White House after the inauguration of the next president, they leave, and they ask him at the door of the plane, how do you feel? He said he feels nausea. No, that's a sense of insecurity, now leaving the presidency. And of course, not to say that there was no insecurity being the president, always one feel, something, always uncertainty. But that is the thing, that there is always an uncertainty, insecurity being in samsara. So, therefore, is it possible, can we get out of such a state? Yes, it is, because you have a wisdom mind. So therefore, no matter where one is born, conditional suffering is always there. Our body, if you look, as we get age, we get sick, we couldn't do things. It is conditioned, conventional condition, there's suffering. Or changes happening, there's suffering. Emotional feelings, there's suffering. Always there is something with the karmic world. Karmic world is never perfect. Isn't there, I heard, this is American version, I guess. I heard, who say karma is fair? I heard that word. Who said karma is fair? Of course, karma is fair because you get the consequence, but you don't want to think that way. You say, when things become tough, you say, karma is like that. So that's the conditional nature of samsara. Regardless, wherever you are born, high or rich or poor or low, there's always a sense of insecurity because of the ego, sense of self. That is the root cause. So therefore, there is a full outer window. Once you begin to see my existence, even human being is better place, but still human existence is not the perfect place. Then bug is even worse. So then what do we do? Where do I go from here? Then you really need, now cause of this impure phenomena is definitely the ignorance. Without ignorance, there will be no place for this to be born. There's a cause to everything. So once you purify, remove this cause, that's what, we all want to be free. The other way is, we all want to be free deep inside. What the message our mind is sending us, hey, get out of neurosis. Get out of this confusion. We are constantly hearing that. It has to be heard because that's what your ultimate nature is, a very free nature. Your fundamental nature is a basic goodness. If your fundamental nature is not basic goodness, that message will never come to you to be positive, to be free, to be open. that will never come into your being because, no matter how much you clean a charcoal, it can never get white. The nature of charcoal is always black. Your nature is fundamental. There's a goodness. Therefore, you want to be free. You feel good when you forgive, when you let go, when you move. There's a deep message. It is part of our every thought, I guess, in fact. You get angry, you don't feel good after that. Because you see how that brings you suffering. So there is a deep sense of message. We are not picking the message well. And only, of course, when we have loss of merit, then we pick up the message. Then we become more kinder. We begin to see the importance and the benefit and the meaningful of what compassion means, what wisdom means, what, all those positive qualities. So once you have seen that, then you go to the next part, which is the inner ngondro now. Then start with the refuge. What is true? What does refuge mean? Some people say taking refuge in the Buddha means, now you become, from today, you all, like all football players, all line up, take a picture with the Buddha, or maybe hold some pictures with little Buddha statues in your hand, with a flag. I'm Buddhist now. You don't become Buddhist that way. In fact, there's nothing to convert to Buddhism. Buddhism means really seeing your nature, which we already have. It's just like ceremonial. Ceremony is reminder of who you are. Such as like anniversary, of some kind, remind you of that time. So here's the reminder of who you are, in the sense. And one of the most important things they tell you during the reminder in the Mahayana practice, bodhicitta mind, compassion, wisdom. Reflect on that. That's what you're supposed to celebrate an anniversary with bodhicitta. You can't do that with the self. So anyway. So then one is to do the inner ngondro practice. Then after finishing the inner ngondro practice, I would suggest you've read the Wisdom of Perfect Teacher. Those who haven't read, please read it again. Maybe that's very beneficial, that book is. And then, you will learn a lot about yourself. And then you will, find deeper meaning. And then you do this practice higher. What we received recently is very high teaching. How you transmute the 5 passion into 5 wisdom, for example. These are your ultimate nature. What is introduced to you is your ultimate nature. That's what briefly all I can say, in a way like that. Thank you. So let's do, is that enough, Jim? Yeah. So now the time is 9 o'clock, and everyone, if I talk too long, there's a saying in Tibetan, I want to be happy, but the Lama is giving me a hard time. So let's do the world peace prayer.
Those are downstairs, Rinpoche, so we can just...
Okay, let's do. In the world in general, and in this nation, may not even the names, disease, famine, war, and suffering be heard. May virtuous qualities and merit and prosperity greatly increase. And may continuous good fortune and sublime well-being perfectly rise. In the world in general, and in this nation, may not even the names, disease, famine, war, and suffering be heard. May virtuous qualities and merit and prosperity greatly increase. And may continuous good fortune and sublime well-being perfectly rise. In the world in general, and in this nation, may not even the names, disease, famine, war, and suffering be heard. May virtuous qualities and merit and prosperity greatly increase. And may continuous good fortune and sublime well-being perfectly rise. By this merit, may all beings gain omniscience. thus defeat the neurosis,
which are the enemies, from the turbulent
waves of birth, old age, sickness, and death.
from the ocean of cyclic existence, may all beings be liberated.
Thank you. Thank you. So please meditate every day. It will bring you a lot of balance, happiness, compassion into your life. Very, very important. And then in post-meditation state, when you engage in the world, beware of your anger. Try to have more patience. Have awareness. When you get angry or some negative thoughts come, try to discipline that. Work with that. Don't go after that. You may slip time to time, or maybe a lot of time. But try to work with that. Be more mindful. Okay, thank you. Okay.
Thank you, Rinpoche. So this is Rinpoche's last Thursday teaching for this trip, but he's going to be leading us in the shower blessing soak practice this Sunday. So it's the 10th day of the month, Guru Rinpoche Day. So as you probably noticed, there's rice all over this room, and we need a lot of work to clean up. So we're going to start cleaning at 9 a.m. And then we'll clean for however long it takes, and then we'll set up soak, and then start soak at around 11 or 11:30, depending on when we finish, depends on how many of you show up to help. So please come, and then that'll be Rinpoche's last event for this part.
And we have Brendan coming and teaching when I'm not here. And Brendan said he will come in September. And I also request, Rinpoche is here. This is, Rinpoche was recognized by his son Dujum Rinpoche, previous Dujum Rinpoche. And I asked him, please come to Denver and teach our Sangha, spend some time. So in the future, this time he's busy, but in the future he will come and spend some time here and give teaching. So I will be here, he will be here, so that, we can be more, the Sangha can get more benefit and people sitting practice meditation. So, like that. So this time, we will do the soak together, and everyone, Sangha, should get together on Thursday and please sit together. There's, a lot of benefit, and especially now we have a really amazing place to sit for everyone, and people can discuss. After that, it can be a lot of beneficial. We are all discussing how to get out of neurosis. We are not here discussing how to be more neurotic. So it can be very beneficial to get engaged to that. And I have to go back to. I will come in August, late August. Right now is July. July, yeah, end of July. I'm getting. What's today?
Today's
July 18.
19.
July 9. So sometime in August. Sometime in August I come before I go to Asia, because I have some other activities in Asia. So therefore, I will come around as soon as possible. So anyway, in the meantime, you all please do sitting practice, and Brendan is coming. And I would also like people, those who are doing trauma practice, it'll be really good to do trauma ngundro, those who want to do. But, as His Holiness said, do whatever you're doing, do it. That's the important thing, really. You're doing just meditation, just do the meditation. Those who are doing that, maybe good to do Tonglen practice sometime. When your love and compassion is weak, then you need to do Tonglen practice. Expand your heart, taking and sending, or doing in your day-to-day, be more aware of your actions and your intentions and your thoughts. Like that, okay? Thank you very much. So very much. So